My name is Aryan. My name is Sanskriti. My name is Aisha. My name is Amaran. My name is Aratna.
What school do you study in?
321 school. 321.
When we went to set 321, we said, how would we build a school if we were building it for our own children? Right? And we realized that if you build it for their children, you build very differently from how you build it for your own children. And we wanted to bring that ethos of quality and hard work and dedication to that school, right? As I was finishing my 2 years at Teach for India, I was trying to figure out what my next step should be. What was very clear to me that I wanted to stay in the education sector. I didn't want to go back to the corporate world, but I wanted to figure out how can I have the maximum impact. I think what became clear to me was there are many different problems in our education system, and you can classify them as it's a teacher issue, it's a teacher training issue, it's a curriculum issue, it's a systemic issue. But along with all that, it's also at a fundamental level a belief issue. We as a nation do not believe in the potential of some of our poorest and most disadvantaged children. And we articulate that belief very clearly in the schools we send them to. And that's why they drop out. Many of the children throughout their life will hear from the adults that they're not good enough, that they can't learn, that they're not smart enough. And essentially, the kids go through an entire schooling or from the time they start to the time they drop out, never having had anyone who believes in them. And one of the things we wanted to do was we essentially wanted to set up belief centers across the country where anyone could come in and see what was possible. So when we decided that we wanted to work with some of the most disadvantaged kids in Mumbai, one of the things we had to take a decision was, do we want to be a public school or a private school? And we decided to go with the public school because we wanted to leverage the resources which the government has, but we wanted to give the high quality education which is available in the elite private schools. So what we did was we approached the government, asking them if they had empty space where there was a school building where there were no kids, and if they could give us that space. What would happen is the government would it will still be a government school where the government would give us the building and they would give us the regular items that they give to the children like school books, uniform, but we would bring in our teachers and our curriculum. And we would teach them according to our methodology, with the agreement being that the school runs completely free like any other government school, but we deliver using that infrastructure and that cost a significantly higher quality of education. Initially it was difficult to get them to come to school, get the kids enrolled. A few of them did, a lot of them said no. But over time actually what has happened is the word of mouth has spread. That's been a sort of a source of triumph where the community is recognizing that this is something really different and of a very high quality, and we're getting kids and admissions a lot more easily now. And essentially with 321, we're trying to do three. One is set up a lab school which becomes a belief center for the larger community, right? So essentially the school which figures out what are the best practices, what is the best research, what is the best implementation in terms of education, brings them to our context, contextualizes it for our kids, implements, reflects feedback, and then figure out how do you set up the best school, right? Which becomes a belief center and serves as a lab for the larger education space. The second thing we want to do is we want to scale these schools to a network of schools. So we go to different parts of the country and set them up in areas with different challenges. Given the diversity of a country, we want to set up these labs across the country. And the third thing we want to do is through everything we learn in setting up this school and the lab schools, network of schools, we want to figure out what the best practices are and how do you spread them in the larger education space. Through various interventions like teacher development, teacher training, curriculum, we want to figure out what does it take to create that knowledge platform which can then feed the best practices into the larger system.
Two big reasons why teaching. One is while I was young, for a good number of years, the initial primary education that I had it in a government school. And I realized like the kind of education I was getting there, which was again like, very road based, teachers were hardly there, lot of things that didn't go well. It wasn't really the education, it was just like being present in the class and being part of whatever that was going on. So I wasn't literally learning anything. So when I went to a private school, I found it very hard to kind of, figure out my place there. And that's why the two reasons are, one, because I knew what it takes to be a student in a municipal school, and second, on the other hand, I had a teacher who was my role model at Akansha, which was the NGO that I was at, and she literally taught me what it takes to be a teacher, what it takes to believe in every single kid that you interact with, and to bring out the best in them. While I was in Pune, I was a single teacher teaching in a government school, so there were a lot of other teachers who were part of the school itself, and I was placed as a class teacher. So over there, you literally have to do everything, like, right from taking care of the classroom that you are responsible for, which is 40 kids in class, then doing community visits, following up with the kids if they're not coming, if anybody is sick, parent-teacher meeting, if any school additional admin work that school gives you, that's one thing. So there was no like a proper support system or shared work culture in the school. Whereas at 321, we literally work as a team, and everything is like there is a strong support system in the sense there's a lot of focus given in terms of you as a person, like how can we make sure that you develop from like you figure out what are your strengths and weaknesses, and how do you leverage those and work on the weaknesses that you need to. Understanding the why of everything, why we do certain things in a certain way, even if it is simple things like if we ask kids to put their shoes in line, why are we doing that, how is it going to affect them in long term, how does it help us, how does it help them. So getting into, before starting everything, getting into the whys of everything and trying and figuring out those whys and answers for those whys.
I like my school. I like my DD teaching. I like. Five little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell down and bumped itself. Mama got a doctor. Doctor said, no monkey jumping on the bed.
So a student, when they come into our school, they essentially go to a classroom, which is generally by color, so they're red, blue or green class, and they have a day which is structured in 3 slots. So the slots are language, math and co-curriculars. And co-curriculars is everything from arts, science, drama, physical exercise. And in our curriculum, the first thing that happens is they generally get the banana and the biscuit that they get to eat as breakfast in school. And there's either a nursery rhyme or a video or an audio which is going along, and they just sing along with the teacher. And then what they go through is something called a morning meeting, where the teacher discusses everything from different things of how their day was to what the day is going to be. And then any of the 3 blocks happens. It could be the language block, where they could go from a whole group instruction where the teacher either does a revision of the vocabulary or does a read aloud, where the teacher takes a book and reads it for the students. And then they could go into different stations, which are basically small groups of kids, and the kids rotate between these stations. Stations could be anything from 15 to 20 minutes long, and they could have reading comprehension in one station, where the teacher is now actually teaching them different reading strategies, or it could have a guided reading session, or it could have a phonics session. The students then go around in those stations having different topics covered, and the topics are done at their level when they are in that group. So what that allows us to do is have instruction at a whole class level, but then also focus on an individual or a small group level. I think like most Indians, I was aware that there are many things which are not going right with our country. And I was also having many of the armchair discussion that we keep having of something needs to be done. But I got to a point of frustration where I realized that, something needs to be done. Somebody needs to get in. Why not me? How can I expect somebody else to come and fix my country? Right? It was just a simple logic which went in my head, and I then saw the ad for Teach for India, which is a 2-year program to get young people into education. And I think what spoke to me was essentially the India part of it, part of being part of a movement to try and attempt to solve the problem. And I think that's how I came in, and once I came in education, I've just stayed, and I think I found my calling. It's a very important issue. It's an issue which has a huge impact on the life of our children and our nation. We use some of our best talent to try and solve this problem. I think that's what inspires me, and that's why I do what I do.
Lion was sleeping, mouse is climbing on the lion. Lion was angry and lion said, Mouse, I hate you. Red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow. I learned that Asians was puzzle. I play the counting. I play the matching. I play the pattern. I like banana. I learned painting. 4 little monkeys jumping over the bed.